I am going to talk to you today regarding one very interesting thing which has been very interesting for me for last at least a decade. Whatever is man-made doesn't have either a history or a future for more than 50 years. And that was my own concept, and I started thinking about it, that why is it so? And I found that it is so because whatever normally is man-made doesn't go back to soil, because it cannot get created into the compost. It is one thing is sure, I am going to die, you all are going to die. Where we will go? We all are going to be back in a soil. And we call that system, that is a death and a birth, and that system is basically a sustainable system. That whatever is nature made can go into a compost, can get converted into back soil. So it is a cyclic process, and man-made thing is a linear process. And when we say that it is a linear process, for first some instance we always find that there is a growth and it is very fast. So those linear things which are man-made are fast, that is for sure. But because it is not cyclic and it cannot go back to soil, it is a danger to the entire sustainability of earth and also danger to the human being itself. How? We go back to the different field now, coming back to the field of biotechnology itself. What is the history of a biotechnology? Everyone knows that milk or a curd, and basically that culture, that is 1 ml of the culture of a curd, when we add to 1 liter of milk, within 6 to 8 hours it gets converted into curd. So that culture, 1 ml culture, has played an important role of making that 1 liter of a milk into curd. What is that power? That power is basically of a power of a microorganism. And that microorganism can be different forms of lactobacilla that gets converted milk into a curd. But if you see the higher class of animal or a plant kingdom, they have the process of evolution. Human beings were different 3000 years back, we are now different. Plant kingdom was different, now plant kingdom is also being changed. Dinosaurs were there, now there are no more dinosaurs. But there is one very funny thing, friends, and what it is. Microorganisms 5000 years back were microorganisms, and they still keep the same form. There was a trichoderma, there was a azotobacter, there was a rhizobium, there was a penicillium, there was a amoeba, and they have a still same form as it was there thousands and thousands of years back. So they do not have a form of evolution like a higher plant kingdom or higher mammalians. This gives the interesting thing that what those microorganisms play a role on earth is basically they are making the entire process of a nature as a cyclic process. Suppose this is a pencil, this is outer portion is of a wood. If this remains for thousands of years in a soil, this will get converted into a compost, because there will be some bacteria, there will be some fungi which will act on this, and that will get converted into compost. So this is a cyclic process. But a pen here, if it remains thousands and thousands of years in a soil, still it doesn't get converted into compost, because this is acrylic, this is plastic, which is man-made. And that is a whole problem to the sustainability. When I talk sustainability, sustainability is not only of a production, not only of a soil, it basically is challenging to the biodiversity, it is basically is challenging to the aspects of pollution, whether it is a soil pollution, water pollution or air pollution. This entire cyclic process is being disturbed by so-called developmental aspects of, we can say, either a IT field or a chemical agriculture or anything which is basically a man-made world. Now, when I say a man-made world, we can come back to the agricultural biotechnology. When I refer agricultural biotechnology, we all know that there are fertilizers, and we are talking of green revolution for so long. When chemical fertilizers like urea, single superphosphate, muriate of potash is being used, there is an increase in yield, that is for sure. But what yield is increased? That is the consumption of a food grain, which human beings are considering that there is an increase in yield, is increased. But if you consider per unit acreage or per unit area of the production of a biomass from a particular crop, that is not increased by green revolution. It is only a grain production which is increased. Then again the question comes, if that is the problem of a sustainability, we will have to think of what? Then we might have to go for not the chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides, but we will have to focus for biofertilizers, biopesticides, which will have a sustainable effect wherein the growth will be there, but that will be a natural, sustainable growth, and that will not have the deteriorating effect which we are expecting, and now we are realizing in last 10-15 years, and people started talking about organic agriculture. Let us consider this bottle now. Now what it is inside? Basically, this is a plant tissue culture grown banana. There is an advantage of a tissue culture technique that we can develop varieties which had got a salt tolerant varieties, which can also give you a drought tolerant varieties. Up to that particular limit, you can definitely get a harvest and advantage of a tissue culture technique. But we have to consider the limitation of this science also. And what is that? Consider that 10 years back there were different varieties of banana in Maharashtra, Basrai, Basanti and all those varieties. Today, 90% of the banana which is grown in Maharashtra is only one variety, that is tissue culture grown, which is G9. Grand 9 variety. And today you are finding that there is one particular disease occurring in entire crop of a banana, which is basically tissue culture grown. Now do you feel that that is a limitation? Yes, it is a limitation, because we intervene science into the form of technology only for growing the advantageous part for the human being, that is going for only one variety of a G9, and commercialization of that crop will have a limitation that it will have an epidemic effect of a disease, and that will have a killing of an entire crop grown in a state. Under such circumstances, we will have to go to the importance of what? Biodiversity. So tissue culture technique will have to be used not for a single crop of banana and a single variety. We will have to go for different varieties. It can be Basanti, it can be Basrai and Vasai. All those varieties will be grown by tissue culture and not a single crop or not a single variety. So if you consider and concentrate on different aspects of sustainability of agriculture and sustainability of a livelihood, we will have to concentrate on a cyclic process of a science wherein everything which comes from nature will have to give its importance by human being, that is trichoderma, azotobacter, rhizobium, which can be produced in a lab, but it is not manufactured by human being. It is there in a nature. We isolate that, multiply that in a lab, and again give back to the nature wherein it can be harvested by human being for the commercial approach of the thing. Now, when I make this statement, I know that there can be a lot of debate whether really biotechnology can be used in a manner for sustainability, for agrobiodiversity, for biodiversity aspects, and also to the aspects of pollution control. Yes, all these things can be touched by a field of a biotechnology, and I trust and I believe that IT industry today is important, but that is an ancillary science. But a BT industry, which I see and foresee for coming 50 years, will grow in a manner because it is a basic science and it is from nature that human beings can harvest it for the benefit of the sustainability. And so I make one important statement that human beings today will have to consider what has come to them from their ancestors is not their property. If you are able to keep this property for the offsprings and your children who are going to come in future in a manner in which it is maintained and monitored, then possibly we can say that yes, we have conserved the nature to the fullest capacity. And I will quote one example to this particular extent, that you might have read in newspapers about the case from Pepsi and Coke, that there was a case that there is some insecticidal residue that was found in that beverage. When that news came, I was thinking continuously that Pepsi or Coke possibly has not added any insecticide or a pesticide in a bottle. Then from where it has come? Because the concentrate of a Pepsi or a Coke which comes from US, but the water which is there in a bottling plant is from this own soil of India. It is, suppose at Pirangut near Pune, there is a bottling plant of one of the famous company, and the water which is coming from the bore well is having a content of a BSC, that is benzyl hydrochloride, and a DDT, from where it has gone to the water. Our chemical agriculture has put that water into the form what it is today, and that is creating a problem for those beverages. It is not the concentrate which is added by those companies. So while summing up, I remember one of the report which I was reading some days back, that if we consider the population of a country like India around 105 crores, normally it is estimated that 52 crores are women. Out of that, around 26 to 27 crore are basically mothers, out of which around 19 crore mothers who have given birth to a child, considering after 1982, will have 0.01% DDT or a BSC found in their milk as well as a blood. Now consider, if that is the stage of a mother who has given birth to the child, what is the stage of the child who is newborn after 1982 and the infant today who is born in 2006? He or she will also have a percentage of minimum 0.01% DDT or a BSC in a blood, and when that gets turned into a mother, she will also have 0.01% DDT and BSC, and this story continues for coming 3000 to 3500 years in the process of evolution. And that chemical which is hazardous for human being, now that is in the form of hexagonal, as you all know, can't be taken out from the human body by any science which is known today. So if we want to limit that, if we want to reduce down that period from 3500 years to 2000, from 1500 and to 500 years, what is available in our hand is, friends, by using the knowledge of a biotechnology, that we need to change the entire system, that when we develop any big project, it can be a project of a chemical fertilizer unit, it can be a project of developing the entire village into a concept of a bio village, it can be a development of a 100-acre area into a civilized world and construction of the building. That time itself you will have to consider the aspects of environment, pollution control, water pollution, soil pollution, air pollution, and you need to budget the entire project in a manner for getting those clearances to the society, that the period which is gone because of this so-called development, you need to conserve now, so that the sustainability and a biodiversity of the entire nature will remain, and it will continue in a manner for the generations to come, and which will not be destroyed by the technology intervention of the human being. Under such circumstances, to come out of that hazard, we will have to go to the help of a biotechnology, and we will have to use biotechnology in a manner that we go for organic agriculture, we go for biostimulants, we go for biofertilizers, we go for tissue culture techniques for the conservation of the plant species, and then this can remain sustainable livelihood for entire human race. Science is required. We are not challenging science. But when we intervene that science through a technological process for the benefit of a human being, all the disasters are expected. So limiting the usage of a science is not the thing, but limiting the usage of the technology is the thing which we will have to consider. So limit the technology to the benefit of the human being, and usage of the science is the major message, and that science can be used by way of a biotechnology, wherein conservation as well as sustainability of a nature and the entire human development race can remain for years and thousands years to come. Thanks again.